Hello there, I'm Danny, and today we'll talk about the importance of reading and why reading is fundamental to your development. I I'm gonna start through. I am not here to debate the cognitive difference between reading and listening to a book. For the sake of this clip, I'm gonna address to books. I would say that reading and listening to the book, it's kind of the same. It's the same thing. For me, it's the same thing. It's more important developing a habit of reading or listening to that audiobook rather than not doing it at all. I think it's the best. It's reading and listening in the same time. But that's a discussion for other time. Let's start through the first question: why are books written? Why books appear? Because many people that I know, they refer to books like, yeah, Danny, I'm not gonna buy a book about money because this is how they make money. You see, I'm smart. They're writing a book about money, how you can make money. Then you are stupid and you buy it, and that's how they make money. See, stop being a fool, Danny. Don't be stupid. Don't buy books about money. No. Look, it is a full circle. First thing, if you do not know how to do something, you need information. Information is there for everything. If you don't know how to open a heart and working on it, you need to learn. You need information for it, right? First thing, it's information. And then the second thing, it's implementing that information. Let's say you learn how to do push-ups. Let's say you learn about your diet. Now implement that thing. You need to implement the thing. And the third, the thing that closed the full circle, it's teaching others. It's exactly what am I doing now. Beside other benefits of having a YouTube channel, let's say I can build a community, I can make a living from it, and I'm trying to build a community, and I'm trying to make a living through some good things. I could just go there and sell bullshit and just use some fear because war and silly and sell batteries to people that they're scared, right? But I'm trying to do a good thing. And teaching, it's a thing into itself. If you speak your native language, but that doesn't mean you can teach someone else your native language. Try that and you will see how hard it is, because teaching, it's a thing into itself. To teach, I like to use this analogy. Let's say I was playing Minecraft. Who doesn't know what Minecraft is? It's a survival game. What a survival game is, it's you're born naked or spawned naked into a world, and you go and collect stick and stones to cut some, and to create an axe to cut some trees to get more wood to build a bigger axe, and to take some stone and go mining, and survive in that world. And I was keep collecting things. I was going around and looking around and discovering something that I didn't really need in the moment, but I was taking it because why not? I bet you're doing the same thing in your life. You may have home a lot of things that you don't need, right? And then I start to use those things that I have, right? And then you realize that you have a lot of things that you need order. You need order in those things. You need order. You have a lot of things home that you're not using. You need order. That order you do in your mind. You do in your mind an order. You will place everything in order. Everything that you learn and implement, and learning from your own experience too, but through that information that you received before. Let's say you go to a college, right? That you want to become a clinician, right? Or whatever you want to be. And then you go and implement that. You go and work with people. And through that process, You'll end up learning things. Then you need to go and sort them and learn from. It's such a great thing. Me doing these things. This is a third clip. Doing these things, my mind is so clear. I'm not thinking of those about those things all the time. This is how my mind works, and I'm not. I'm not just ruminating what cows do when they eat. Doesn't matter. And making an order, they learn something. That guy, that doctor that writes a book, they learn something. Sure, they want to make a living from it. Sure. Imagine someone had a problem. Let's say, I will give an example. This book here. No, I moved the camera. No. This book here. This Rollo Tomasi, The Rational Male. Most of the books, I listen to them. I don't have them like this, but I have a few of them like this. This is a gift from a friend. This man had a problem with women. He wanted to understand women, and now he have here you right there have here everything you need to know about women in a dating way, about game, you know. And if you have problems with women, you read this book and you will not gonna have problems anymore. Do you see? I will teach you further a deeper thing. But if you have a problem, you have it and you learn it and you don't have that problem anymore. This is why our books are written, because they learn something from it. Now, let's go further and tell you my story. I was around 22 years old, 23 years old. And I was a gym fanatic. I'm doing sport since I was 4 years old, 5 years old. I don't have memories before that. My father pushed me to do that since a really, really young age. And I was 23. I was into bodybuilding a lot. And I was smoking. I was smoking cigarettes and I could not stop smoking. I felt stuck. I felt weak. I felt powerless. And I felt hopeless that I can do nothing about quitting smoking. And I was so driven and so disciplined. I was looking like this. And I could just not eat sugar. I could go to the gym every day. I could just do everything I needed, and I couldn't quit smoking. And in one day, I found Alan Carr, the easy way to quit smoking. And I listened to that book to my headphones 5 hours to 6 hours in one day. And in that day, I stopped smoking. In that day, I stopped smoking, and I'm not smoking since then. I went home, and that day I was just jump. I was like, oh my God, I told my mom, I can't believe I'm not smoking. I just quit smoking. I give that book to my mom. She stopped smoking too. I give that book to one of my best friends. He stopped smoking too. And that thing really, I was like, how is that even possible? How is possible to listen to a book? It's a book. It's just a book. Basically, it's just a book. It's someone that I was quite ignorant. How probably you are, but because you clicked on this this clip, you maybe read or you want to read, and they'll help you understand here further what really happens. Because this book really made me curious how that thing just made me quit smoking, something that I couldn't do. Quit a drug. You're not addicted to smoking. You're not addicted to smoking. You're addicted to the nicotine. As you are not addicted to needles. You're addicted to heroin. But another discussion about smoking. We don't talk about that here. Understanding bias. Okay. I want you to open your eyes, have an open mind, and think about this. When you were a child, right? You're a baby. Your parents and your environment, right? Your parents, your friends, whatever. They poured info into you. You did not have any guarding dog, let's say, to your mind and say that no, that's not true. That's not true. All this bias that I'm gonna try to explain you here have something to do with authority. Authority, even for you today, if you didn't deeply contemplate it about the nature of authority, you are driven by it. It's a power that you have and you give to someone. You need to take a lot of care who you see and perceive as authoritarian, out as an authority, right? It's a doctor. Is he really a doctor? If he's a doctor, really knows what he's talking about? You really need. When you were a kid, your parents had full authority for you, and you take them as true. As true. You take them as that's real info. What do you mean? Yes, money don't grow on trees. Money don't grow on trees. It's hard to make money. It's hard to make a living, and you take them as true, and now you believe them. Info, and you start to automatically implement what you just learned. And I have here this thing that I'm trying to explain now. First thing and foremost, we have a paper, right? It's a piece of paper. That is DNA. Your genes. You cannot change that. This is the kid. When if you heard about that, hey, kids are like a piece of paper that you go and write on them. Exactly the same analogy here. But your specific paper made by your parents from your family tree. You see? You're a paper made by the wood from your family tree. And you cannot change that. You cannot be taller than you are. I'm getting bald since I was quite young. That's genetic too. My brother is getting bald too. I don't have blue eyes. I am quite muscular. It's easier for me to build muscles. I'm not getting fat easy. You know, that's the point. You get the point. That's DNA. This, it's a gear. I'm trying to, to draw a gear. Didn't work. But anyway, and it's spinning. And this is the process of thinking. Think, think. I hope it's spelled right. Think. The process of thinking. Not what you think, but the process of thinking. And here, it's the info. Info that you're thinking it's processing. Now, and I named this as bias. It is not if you Google bias, it will give you something else, but I like to use bias. When I was young, I liked to repair computers and play with them, and I know that there is this bias, that it's under the Windows. If your Windows doesn't start, you need to open the bias that you can reinstall the Windows, so you give a fast repair, or you can check the processor heat. It's under the Windows. You don't really know about it, but in this case, this runs you. This is underlying to your conscious mind, is, let's say, into your subconscious. This bias, your beliefs, those, because they were told you by authority, they become beliefs. And we will gonna talk about beliefs in another clip. Watch my clips about belief. Now, those things, this bias, you may be stuck. Your bias may be rotten by people that they never read, they never learned anything. And we always said we go further to level of knowledge. Look, let's say that first people that I would like to call them I know. It's level one. Is the lowest level. With those people, you cannot contradict them because they know. They know most of nothing. They are this guy that they didn't learn anything. They don't read. They just have what their parents give them, and they push it further. It's a bias in action here, and you cannot contradict them because they will be defensive about it, emotionally defensive. They will put their emotion in and defend themselves, and they don't know anything. Those people don't know. You cannot argue with them. I hope you're not one of them. Let's go further. I like to call this I don't know. Here you start to understand things, and here you may encounter some negative emotions, like I was wrong in my ex relationship. I was wrong. But guess what? If you start learning, you need to see those negative emotions that you will encounter as a proof of not repeating the same mistakes. If you are here, you're not going to repeat the same mistake because the info is in here. You don't need to force yourself to not repeat the same mistake. Here, a lesson learned, it's a lesson learned. Took me a while, it took me quite a long time to understand and stop being afraid of repeating mistakes that I understood. Not here. They don't understand anything. It happens to them, they're stupid, their relationship failed. They don't go and take some info. They don't read books, but they say, no, I learned from my ex relationship. No, you just continue implement your fucking bias. That's why people go in failed relationship, in another failed relationship, in another one, because that's not learning. Learning, it doesn't function that way. Learning works this way. You see? Now, here, I know. I would like to use this again, as I know. And those people feel equal with those people. They feel the same. If you when you are here, probably you are here and you know about a certain thing, I don't know, cooking. If you know a certain thing and then you talk to someone that knows too, they will feel like they are like you, and you cannot prove them that they don't know because they miss the thing. You see why you cannot prove to someone that they don't know? Because they miss exactly the thing that they need to know that they don't know. They are missing information, and you cannot just pour information. Not from this level. From this level you can't. But from this level you cannot pour information into them because they will become emotional, because beliefs are deeply core to you. Beliefs, like we'll talk another on another clip about beliefs. But beliefs are emotional. They will jump you. They don't want to know that God doesn't exist, or like Santa Claus. We'll talk about God in other. It was just a pure example. Like, people get pretty emotional about when they talk about their life view, right? You cannot pour into them. You can't. It just doesn't work that way because they miss this thing. Now, you know things. Now you end up knowing things. And when you will meet people, you will bond way easier with them here. A discussion with someone that they know, it's so easy and so nice to have. I have a few friends like this, and it's all the time a pleasure to talk to them because we both know, and we build on each other. We build on each other. We go somewhere. We are going somewhere and talk about that thing. And they bring what I know, they bring what they know, and I may be wrong. And I am open enough to be wrong and non emotional about it because it's not about me, it's about learning, and I love learning, right? It's a love of learning. It's fine, you like it. They contradict really hard. Here you don't contradict because you don't have whom to contradict with. There you talk, you build. We don't argue about it. You say something that I don't agree. I'm telling you that I'm not agreeing with it, and we go somewhere. Here they say, no, you are not right. Those people, they will stick to each other, right? They will bound to each other. Those that they just agree with their bias, they have no chance of any relationship if they are not really, really lucky, right? Because they don't learn about emotions, they don't learn about relationships, they don't learn about bias, they don't learn about bonding, they don't learn about anything. They are just sleeping. They're sleeping. They're sleepers. Now, let's go further. After you end up knowing, you need to ask yourself, what is knowing? Epistemology, whatever. Here is what is knowing and what means to know things. And then, if you push through this hard enough, I'm not here to to explain what means knowing in this clip. We'll talk about that other time. Here, those two things split in I am or being, and believing. Belief, believing. I don't know how to write it. I'm not gonna correct it now. It's being, I am, and I believe. Knowing is not a thing into itself. Knowing doesn't hold water. And when you start to understand those things and you start to be, you will so easily go here and rewrite anything you want. You will rewrite so many things. And something else that I want to tell you here. I want you to, like, thoughts, right? Process of thinking, those are info in your mind. Those are your thoughts. Your thoughts, let's say, they're based on a core belief. And those beliefs that you have, I want you to see them as a slot there where they're a core belief that it was placed in you, poured in you when you were a child. And this slot, another information that comes in about money, let's say, and you think that money are not, they don't grow in trees and blah 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 blah. Another information about money that would fit in this slot, right? Like RAM into PC. It, and here it's full. This thing will directly contradict the other thing that it just comes and try to fit in this place. When you're a child, you didn't have anything. That's why it's just so easily stick in you. Open mind. You need to have radical open-mindedness to go through this. If you go through this, I promise you that it's unbelievable what is there. It's just unbelievable. If I tell you what there is, I would just want you to believe me on my word that this it is like this. This is like this. And you need to start to know and then ask yourself what knowing is, and then understanding this. Because now if I tell you what that thing is and start to go further, you may not believe me. But yeah, I hope is short enough and long enough for you to understand this. In my head was way longer, but it's fine like this. I'm happy with it. I hope you're happy with it too. Subscribe and see you next time.